Hey everyone, it's Jordan here, aka Cosmic from the C&D Cast podcast channel. Today I'm going to be joined by my fellow host, Dayton, and today we are actually also joined by a new guest, a fellow content creator and YouTuber.
Hello, everyone. This is Bryanles2011, and I'm just really glad to be a part of this podcast.
And we are excited to have you here as well. Today we're going to be talking about Dead by Daylight, the 6.1.0 patch, aka the mid-chapter patch, which is usually DBD's biggest content changes for the game. They have a lot of updates pretty regularly, but they're usually smaller stuff that doesn't really matter too much. But today we have a pretty decent amount to talk to, as a lot was changed. A lot. More than I thought was going to be changed. And what you guys are going to find about this one is it's pretty killer-sided. Some things that needed to be fixed for sure, and some things that are questionable. But that's why we have us three here today. We're going to go over what all of those changes are, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about our thoughts on whether we think it's good, bad, maybe throw in some tips on what we think we would change if we were in this position. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We're going to be started off with the gameplay section. So, under the changes of this, generators now take 90 seconds for a single survivor to repair, which was up from 80 seconds. We also have killers kicking a generator now immediately causes a 2.5% loss of progression, in addition to starting regression. We are also having a change to bloodlust trigger times, being reduced from 15 seconds for Tier 1, 25 seconds for Tier 2, and 35 for Tier 3. Which the only two that actually change in that section are going to be Tier 2 and Tier 3, as Tier 2 was 30 seconds, and our Tier 3 was 45. We are also getting some killer action speed up, so they have a 10% cooldown time after a successful hit on a survivor, so whenever you use your M1 ability or your basic attack, that is getting reduced to 2.7 seconds from 3. So a whole 0.3 drop there. We're getting a time to kick generator is also reduced to 1.8 seconds from 2. Pallets are going from 2.34 to 2.6. The boost that survivors get when hit, so basically when your killer hits you, the survivor gets to get a little speed boost lunge ahead to try to get away. They have decreased that. It is now 1.8 seconds, was 2. And survivors now have base kit borrowed time. For you, those of you who do not know what borrowed time means, basically when you're within the killer's terror radius and a teammate takes you off of the hook, it gives you an endurance effect. So if the killer were to hit you while your endurance effect is there, it basically allows you to take an extra hit. It's kind of like an anti-tunneling thing. Endurance is now being canceled out by any actions that they deem, I guess, what you shouldn't be doing that thing for, because the whole point of endurance is supposed to be, if you're getting tunneled, it gives you one free hit. But now if you do Totem, Generator, heal another person, Sabo a hook, open a door, if you do anything, that endurance effect goes away. Endurance and also does not prevent a survivor from entering the dying state if they are inflicted with deep wound. There's a couple killers that do that. So now if you're, I think also Sloppy Butcher also inflicts you with the deep wound. So that is actually all of the changes for gameplay. So we're going to go ahead and hear everybody's initial thoughts on what they think. What are you thinking here, Dan?
I think most of these are fairly fine changes. Nothing huge, obviously. The survivors all having a modified borrowed time is definitely a bonus, especially for me, who I seem to always encounter the tunnel as soon as I see the Bing Bong Boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
across the map.
That's true.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, going off from what Dave said, like all these quality of life gameplay changes, actually are pretty good, in my opinion. Like, I do like the the basically free ball time that also I was getting now, so you don't have to waste a perk slot for that. And with the deep wound, like I'm okay with it, but I guess not okay with it at the same time for a Sloppy Butcher, because like in my opinion that perk already hammers you
It
enough
hurts.
with.
Yeah, it already hurts.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thoughts I had on this final one as well. Was it makes it a little harder. I think overall a lot of these changes, I think obviously are scary from a survivor's perspective until you really kind of look at the numbers, right? So when as a survivor, you know, I would think of myself more as a survivor main rather than a killer. I do play killer an okay amount, but I've been playing even more lately. But I would still consider myself. A lot of these seem super scary at first. Like you're thinking 10%, the killer's getting all of these 10% things. How do I get away now? But then you have this, like, the visuals. A lot of them aren't moving much. Like 0.3 seconds is like, you might notice it. Most likely you probably won't. You're going to have those people that always are going to complain about it and, you know, sit there and preach up, down, left, right, and center that now they're screwed half of the time. But, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've kind of been escaping matches kind of about the same. I mean, it really now comes down to whatever build I'm doing or how hard I'm trying. I mean, really, only thing that I've really saw that's made a little bit of like a kind of difficult thing is you can't really use safety pallets as much in the sense to heal, because some people would like say the killer downs one of your teammates on the other side of a pallet and you tech him and slide over. Before, you would easily be able to get that buddy up and both of you start running before that pallet drop. But now if that killer's good and he's on it, he's getting one of you again.
You're kind of screwed.
He's getting one of you instantly, because he's going to break that pallet faster before you get that heal up, because the heal does take about the same time now as that killer takes to smash the pallet. So basically 9 times out of 10 what happens is, as you're getting up, if you're the one on the ground or you're healing someone, either he's swinging and lunge and hits you, or the guy that you just picked up is getting hit right back to the ground and isn't moving. So a lot of these really don't change much. I'm a little on the fence for the 90-second generator. I think the game's already pretty slow, especially as a solo queue. That 10 seconds is definitely noticeable, especially with some stuff we'll get in later. There's some perks that have changed that make it so hard to even do gens sometimes, because, you know, the killer has so many things like Ruin and Pop and Jolt and Overcharge and all of these perks to slow your gen speeds down, or Phenantophobia, all of these perks that just make the generator take even longer or start resetting as they chase you. I mean, I don't really see kind of the full appeal of trying to make your game take longer, you know? And I don't know if that maybe it's their way of kind of like trying to help the queue, because like solo queue or even just survivor queue lately, and I've even seen some stuff on killer queues being massively long. Like, so I've waited up to 15 minutes sometimes for a survivor match, and I've heard some killers have been waiting almost 10 in the higher MMRs. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just,
it kind of seems to me like they're trying to keep it the same length. Like, it seems what they're trying to do is speed up the moment-to-moment gameplay, but keep the entire length of the match the same. And I don't know, obviously, if like the numbers are gonna do that, but it seems like that's what they're trying to do.
I don't know.
That's the only thing that I could think of for what their plans were for making for making the generators 10 seconds longer just by themselves. But like obviously I don't know the numbers like they do. So like maybe actually like is helpful for the game, but from what I've seen so far, like I really don't understand it.
Yeah, that's what my thoughts are. Like, maybe it's some weird quality of life thing we'll notice down the line that like helps or something. Because I've noticed sometimes it seems like behavior doesn't think in a weird way. It's like, I guess, negative in the beginning, but it kind of ends up making sense down the line. It seems like a lot of their stuff is leaning towards future. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah,
like they're like, okay, this is gonna suck now, but we have updates that we want to do that are gonna be down the line that'll make this seem not bad anymore, kind of thing. Because like, I don't know. To me though, they're always looking at the wrong things, and I've listened to some other podcasts as well where Ralph, Tofu, and Ots Darva had like a pretty similar thought process as what I'm assuming you guys have too. Maybe is they're balancing the wrong stuff. They keep thinking it's the perks all the time, which I mean it is obviously. But they don't focus on the right ones, I guess. Like, there's so many perks in the game, Survivor-wise. I think there's, like, almost 160 or something total perks. And
it's insane.
And about, like, over half of them are useless. They come out bad and are never touched. But the only ones that keep getting changed are the perks that people use. But they then complain about the perks that people use and think... Like later, we were talking about this whole idea that once we get to the perk changes, it'll clarify a little bit more that they actually feel as if like killers are forced to run the stuff they do. Like, oh, the killer is so forced to run gen reduction speed and all of these slowdowns and all of this and that, and it's like, well, it's the same for Survivor. That's why the meta never changes, is because every time, say, I've done it a few times where you try to make a good, fun build that you think would be fun and interesting in the match and be like, wow, this is wacky. This works really well. It's really zany. It's like, say, if you play Magic the Gathering and you build this fun deck, it's not like top tier, but it's above janky, but it'll play well and it's fun. But then you go into the match and you're like, oh man, I'm so excited to play this. And then you play against a guy on the other end who's using the best build, the sweatiest add-ons, is playing like out his mind. And then you're like, oh, well, why did I bring this fun build in? I can't do anything with it. It doesn't work now because this guy, I didn't even get to show it off. So what are you going to do? Chances are, as soon as that match ends, are you going to re-queue with the build again? Probably not. What are you going to do? You're going to get your sweat build on. Then you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess now I have to run meta. If everyone else is playing meta again, I don't even have a chance to win. I don't even have a chance to really do anything. So you're just, oh, time to run meta again. And then that's the issue with where the player base is it's like, okay, the killer wants to run something fun, and then he gets dumpstered by survivors who come in with a sweat build and best med kits with their stuff, and then he's like, oh, well, now I'm back. So, and then all behavior has for data is that these perks are the ones that are quote-unquote needing to be used, and then but then it's like this weird line where they're like, oh, well, we feel bad because the killers are forced to have to play this way. If we changed survivor perks, they won't be forced to do it anymore. Ooh, or if we do all these, but it's like, killers aren't forced to do that. They do that because you guys, they're the best perks. They're the perks that you guys keep focusing on. Because there's so many perks in the game that you don't touch. So it's like, that's why they use them. Because out of all of these perks, there's 5 of them usually at any given moment that are overpowered, that are busted, that are the one that give you the most competitive edge over the entire length of the match. So why wouldn't you use those? you have no need to ever run any of them, ever, of the other kind. And then when you try, you get punished. So it's like, what do you do? And it's like you can balance the perks, but, I mean, perks matter, obviously, but what I've noticed most of the time when I'm going is the killers, the add-ons. There's just so many add-ons that are unbelievably unbalanced on both sides. Like, survivors have some that are nuts that make the med kit just unbelievable. But the killer also, a lot of them, like Eerie Head on Huntress, and there's the iridescent one on I think Slinger, the coin before the change. We had the same add-ons everyone runs on Nurse, and it's like all of these killers have these other fun builds they can do, but why bother? You could run that fun. You could. Or you could just go sweaty again. Is that just me, or are you guys like on that same page, or it was because like?
I mean, that's pretty much how metas work. They just force if uniformity in the highest level of quality exists, then that's what's going to be used, is the same stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, like that's exactly how it works. Like
that's how dominant strategy works. That's just basic game theory.
Yeah, which.
But I do really agree with your point on this patch really seeming like they're trying to do like a lot of stuff about like the future of their game, and probably the biggest one I can think of that is also a great segue to the next section, killer perks, is the change to barbecue and chili, removing blood point bonus. It seems like they want to set a precedent that's not going to be a thing. They don't like that being a thing.
Exactly, and
they shouldn't. Correct. Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing.
I've never understood why they're in like any of them. I don't know why any perk is just like, oh, this one you should run, and they tried to pretend in their own words that the reason barbecue and chili is often run so much is because it gives you this blood point bonus. And it's like, I'm sorry, whoever said that, you could not be more wrong if you tried. If you're that's not the reason they run it. The blood point bonus, is
it's a bonus.
Yeah, is an unbelievable unneeded bonus. Barbecue and chilies ran because it's the best and one of the top information perks the killer has. Every time you hook someone, you get to just see where survivors are outside of a certain range. So it's like, any perk ever having a blood point bonus, one, I don't know why they were even there, and then two, forever even saying that, like, oh, they were ran because of the bonus. No, they weren't. There's like several of the survivor perks that have this blood point bonus. Did you ever see them in game? No. Why? Because they're bad. People don't run barbecue and chili because there's a bonus slapped on it. They run it because the perk's good, and it makes it even better that they're getting free points, which again is another weird competitive edge that we're giving to sides. Like, why should be playing this perk? Why should you get more money at the end of the match for doing that? Like, oh, thank you for using this perk. Here's free money at the end of your game because you decided to use it.
Yeah, like I feel the same way with David's perk. We're gonna live forever. It does the same thing. Like basically, almost anything you do, you're gonna get a blood point bonus from it. But at the end of the day, it's like, why are you gonna be using that if all you get is blood points and it doesn't actually like help you or the team in any way, but just money?
Exactly. All right. So, now that we're on to the blood point bonus for barbecue, we'll move over here into the killer perk changes here. So there are a lot of them, so I'm not going to just run through all of them quick like I did the gameplay. The gameplay changes were really easy to kind of just quickly glance over. Instead, I'm going to read the perk, we'll read the change, and we'll just give a quick thing on our thoughts on that perk, and we'll go ahead and move on from there. So our first one, After Barbecue, which we've already talked about, nothing else from that perk got changed other than the removal of the blood point bonus, because they're getting away with that, getting rid of it. Survivor perks, theirs were removed too, so this wasn't like a targeted thing. They just don't want that on perks anymore. So first up, we have Corrupt Intervention. So on top of its additional effect, Corrupt Intervention deactivates when any survivor enters the dying state. So as soon as you hit a survivor down twice, this perk will shut off. This perk also still deactivates after 2 minutes if no survivor has entered the dying state. So that was just a note added on the thing there. So not too much changing. This one I like. It was a pretty decent nerf. Corrupt was pretty powerful. I was seeing it more and more. I think I've still seen it a couple times on streams. I haven't seen it personally in like any of my games. So I don't know. Deactivating after a survivor, I guess kind of sucks, but it's good. You know, you can't just dominate the whole match running this one thing. Now after, you know, the perk deactivates after the game assumes you're doing a good thing. Like if you're in a commanding position and you downed somebody, then I get it. You guys got anything to add onto this perk?
No, I think that's a quality change and makes it
Yeah, same here. Like,
more balanced.
yeah.
And nothing more.
If anything.
Yeah, this
because like before this nerf, like I have had a few matches where like say someone's running Bubba or Billy, and they down someone with a chainsaw in like the first 30 seconds of the match. Like at that point, you already have a survivor hooked, and you still have like 3 generators that are still just blocked for another minute 30.
Yeah.
So personally, I think the nerf actually is pretty fair.
Yeah, especially because it's hard. Because with one like that, with so many of the good perks that have changed and stuff, and how different our meta is, it's kind of hard when you're literally forcing the survivors onto the killer side. Which I mean, obviously, is the point. It's supposed to be like an advantage, but you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of hard when if you're already downing a guy and say and then you get a second one super quickly, because you could theoretically can down 2 people before those gens come back up again, and then the other 2 survivors are kind of screwed because you know where they are. Most likely they're not hanging around the gens that they can't do. So I don't know, this one to me, this one was a good one. Next we have Coloraphobia. They just added healing skill checks move 15% faster for survivors under the effect of this perk. So basically, when you get a skill check, it does this kind of clockwise motion and like a pretty slow speed. It's not really slow, but it's slow. Basically now it just moves faster and stuff. This one, why? I don't know. No one uses this perk, really.
Yes, yeah. My thoughts on this are that the clown was already bad, and this is not making him better, so it doesn't matter because it won't see play anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I can't even remember the last time I've faced a clown in DBD personally.
Next up,
it's had to have been like a good month now or so.
Since you've used it, yeah, I figured as much. It's like I don't know, it's just like a perk of why bother. So next up we have a change to Dark Devotion. So now it's whenever the obsession loses a health state by any means and thus enters the injured state, Dark Devotion activates. Your terror radius transfers to them for 30 seconds at tier 3, and it is set to 32, and you become undetectable. That's current. It used to be just basic attacks, so this change I get and understand completely, and this one isn't. It's a buff, obviously, but it's more of actually balancing the perk out, because there's a lot of killers in this game who don't really rely on their basic attack and use their right click power, so Dark Devotion would never trigger for them using it. Like, a lot of Huntress mains only use hatchets, so you would never proc this. Now, as long as you're hitting them, Dark Devotion counts. So if you now hit your obsession with no matter what, you can transfer your terror radius onto them.
I think this one just makes sense. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's just
it makes sense for it to only be basics.
Because like you're changing it. I mean, there's so many killers that don't just use basic attacks anymore, so this one is hard. So next we're going up to Eruption. This one again, I don't really see, so I don't even actually remember exactly what this one does. But it's now increasing the generator reduction when a survivor enters the dying state to 10%, was 6%, and it increased the duration of the incapacitated status effect from 15, 20, 25, from 12, 14, 16. I'm not even really going to have anything to go into this one. I don't really know what its basic one does, really, so this perk to me doesn't really matter. I haven't seen it ran much, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which I know a lot of us...
That's, because it's a Nemesis perk, and I don't know about you, but I don't see them a lot, and also it doesn't seem very good.
Well, Nemesis run are pretty popular in high MMR, but nowhere that we are, so...
Yeah, definitely not.
I've played Nemi quite a few times, but they're not like... they're not cracked or nothing. They're pretty standard players, because there's some Nemesis players that are just stupid.
Nuts.
That are just
yeah,
stupid
I've
good.
seen some who are just stupidly good with them, and it just makes me wonder, just like, how did they get that good with them?
It's insane. Next one is awesome. I'm so happy with this nerf, because this perk has ran rampant, at least on my games, and I know every time I've played this with Dayton, this perk, I swear we see in 50% of our matches, even on killers that don't really need it. And that one is the Hex Totem of No One Escapes Death, aka NOED. NOED, the way it works before, because this update is already live, the way it worked before is after all the generators were completed, a random dull totem that was not cleansed on the map becomes a lit Hex Totem, becoming No One Escapes Death, which gives everybody in the match the exposed mechanic. So basically, now whenever the killer hits you, no matter if you're at full health or in the injured state, it's an instant down. And this totem is very hard on some maps, because there are some totem locations for killers that most survivors would never think to look in, making it incredibly difficult to spot. And a lot of the time, the longer that NOED is up, the less likely it is that you're going to be able to do anything unless you manage to get out just in time. But a lot of the time, one, if not two, and a lot of the time 4 of your members of your team are dying. So this change is awesome. So the change for this perk is once this Hex effect is revealed, you get it revealed to the survivor. So it's shown at the beginning at 4 meters. So if the survivor is within 4 meters of your lit totem, they will be able to see it. So that way they can find it. The range increases steadily over the next 30 seconds to 24 meters. So throughout 30, if you can't find it at the 4, it'll increase and increase and increase till eventually you get this giant circle area of being able to see where the totem is. It's basically just to make it so killers can't just steamroll your entire team off of one perk. I know for a fact you guys got some stuff on this one, because I know Noed is a pretty hot topic perk for a lot of survivors and killers. It has seen its definite fair share of salt.
Oh, yes. I've heard many a salty streamer rant about how crutch Noed is. I don't really think that using a powerful tool is necessarily a crutch, but that's just me, and I think that this change is good. Yeah. I like being able to find the things that are making me dead.
Yeah, not gonna lie, same here. I also think that the
super fun when you're just dying to invisible garbage, you know?
Yeah, like I have to agree. Like being able to like actually see where the totem is super helpful, because I'm sure that it's not just us talking about it. Like I'm sure anyone out there listening to this have had plenty of personal experiences where you're searching for that totem for like a good 5 or 10 minutes and just can never find it, and the rest of the team is already down and slugged.
Yeah, and it's hard because so many of the maps, like the elementary school, the multi-story ones, like all the ones that are double story, or there's just some maps where the totems are tucked in these ridiculously just insane spots, and it's like, oh, I would have never have found that. Because there's still some that I've seen, like I'll be watching a stream and you'll see him go find a totem in this random spot, and you're like, why is there one there? I've literally would have never have checked there. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, that's such an just a mean spot to put that. It's just
like, I mean, I will admit that there are to my knowledge, 2 perks that survivors have that like I guess give them some info on where a totem is. The perk Small Game, and a Just perk Counter Force that like lets you lets you see where the like next furthest totem is from the one that you cleansed, but for Joe's perk, that only works if you can actually find a totem, though.
Yeah.
So if you can't find one, you're kind of screwed.
Exactly. This perk is just all this change was all around great. I honestly, even for a killer stance, like I don't see how you really huge complain about this. This is a perk that this needed to change. Honestly, I don't mind dying to Noed, but I don't like dying when you've found most of the totems and you just can't find that last one because you haven't memorized every totem location on a map. It's like I get you know, the perk is a crutch. It is. It rewards you for bad play throughout the match. If you haven't played good at all, it's literally just your one last just crutch to help you close out the game. Is that necessarily a bad thing for you using it? No, obviously. It's in the game. It's intended for killers to use it, just like survivor perks. Like, I don't get complaining about any perk that a person uses. Like, it just comes down to this weird entitlement thing from either side. It's in the game. The devs have it in the game, therefore I can use it. I don't know why you're judging me so much for using it. I paid for the game. I'll play it however I damn well want to. Like, if you're that salty about the match, just click leave. Go back to the main menu and search for the game again. There's no need for all the extra. But this one was all around just, like, decent. Same with the next one, Hex Ruin. This one was just again, another killer perk that survivors just hated, especially because it hit a huge meta of pairing it with Undying, so you would have Ruin twice, making it exceedingly difficult sometimes against certain killers to ever get a gen done, because you'll think Ruin's gone, and then, oh, they had Undying. So, well, Ruin's still up, so now you're screwed once again. So, the changes for this one, pretty big. Once any survivor is killed by any means, Ruin goes away and turns into a dull totem. So now, no matter what, you can't just have your Ruin up the entire match because the survivors couldn't find your thing. Now, if you get a kill, your Ruin's gone. Also, it got a nerf, I believe it was 200% regression, if I'm not mistaken, on generators.
Yeah, it was.
It was cut down in half to 100% at Tier 3. So, the regression is not as egregious. Which, this perk, again, I get the change, and it definitely needed to change, because the fact that they buffed and tweaked so many of the other regression perks, if that one stayed dominant like that, I don't think a gen would ever get done with the 90-second timer if they had Ruin at 200% and all of their other ones. And they had one spoiled before of having a regression speed up to 400%, which is absolutely insane. We'll get down to it here in a little bit. It's a couple perks down. But they changed that one too. They didn't keep it at 400% because they realized that having 400% regression speed on a generator is kind of insane. So, but with that being said, Hex Ruin, definitely happy to see the change on this one. And any of you guys care to?
No, I think you covered it pretty good. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much. I'm glad it's going away more now.
Without feeling like
like there really isn't too much more that we can add to it.
And the changes to regression definitely did need to happen, especially since the buffs to other regression perks.
Yes,
some of the other ones I'm not looking too favorably upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither am I.
This next one,
most notably this upcoming one.
Yeah, this next.
What is this note?
This next one, I'll go ahead and hear your guys' thoughts on it, so that way I don't, rant too far into every single perk. So this one, whenever you put a survivor into the dying state with your basic attack, all generators within 32 meters of you instantly explode and start regressing at an 8% drop rate. So, this one used to have a cooldown. It could only be activated, I can't remember how many seconds it was. I think it maybe 30 or something. It was something actually pretty long. So the change to this perk is they've completely just removed the cooldown. So now whenever you put a survivor in a dying state, you get that 32 meter explosion every single time. What are you guys thinking on this one?
I don't like that.
No,
I don't agree with just straight up removing a cooldown.
On a perk that's had one?
On a perk that has always had one? Yeah, I just don't. It's weird. Like, to not even try, like making the cooldown shorter or anything, if it's not enough, like, I don't, straight up removing the cooldown, like, it seems to almost promote slugging.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that, or just, like, a killer who camps hooks, like they can literally just like wait for a survivor to get free from a hook, down that one, and then immediately chase the other one down there real quick, and then boom, that's two pops right there.
Okay, so
then if someone somehow manages to get one of them up, he can immediately run back to them, smacking them again, and boom, that's a third pop.
Okay, so what would be, in your guys' opinions here, if you had to, what would be your change to this? What would you do that you would think would be balanced on this end? For me, I think I have a couple. I have a little bit on this one, not much, but I do get the not liking the removing the cooldown. What would you guys think would be a fair thing to that?
Maybe like a cooldown that could be gotten rid of or something. Like if you have a cooldown until you like actually like hook a person, so you're not just like slugging like 3 people to like completely wreck a generator and then and with no pause, you're just like downing people just to like screw up progress.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that like either only that either if a survivor gets hooked and then you get able to do it again, or just or just give a short like a shorter cooldown. Like I feel that having just a shorter cooldown would have been a bit more fair than just getting rid of a cooldown and just letting a killer slug and then just wreck probably like 3 generators in that are close enough to its radius, just back to back like that.
Yeah. My change to this one too would be just I don't know, make it like a 10-second cooldown, something small, because at least 10 seconds I could get away.
It definitely should not be like the cooldown of the perk that this used to be when Demogorgon was in the game, where even at like tier 3 it's like a 40-second cooldown.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
definitely
that was a long
like,
time.
That's unusable.
Yeah, because then by the time it's not on cooldown, half the time either gens are almost done already, or you've already hooked most of the survivors, so then it doesn't matter. Yeah. So yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It's always hard to find a balance, because it's like, where's that finite line where you're not gonna have one side absolutely complaining about it?
Mm-hmm.
But
that's just the hard thing for just trying to have this game balanced, because let's be honest, no matter how hard the developers try to make something balanced, someone's always gonna be salty about a change for something.
Oh, always.
Well, and the thing that I've always kind of thought about like games that have like a PvP and like a balance and like a meta is that like kind of the point is that it's if it's perfectly balanced, people don't tend to stick with that game very long, because like nothing's changing. It's just the same match every time now.
Yeah.
Like you want things to be constantly shifting around.
They just need to... Their meta is too tight-knit, I feel. I think if you're going to have a meta line, you should have a meta, but I think with the amount of perks and stuff in this game, your meta could be bigger than 5 perks.
Or you could get rid of perks. Just saying, the ones that are useless, you could just dumpster.
Like, you limiting that it is just, like, weird. It's like, I don't... Why are we stuck at these exact perks all the time being the same? Because the point of a meta is the meta's supposed to shift, but we've had the exact same thing for like years.
Yeah, for like a good 3 years now.
None of the buffs or nerfs have ever been enough at all to ever warrant a meta shift. And I think that one of the problems they have is they fix not enough perks compared to the amount of perks they add, because every time, like, say you get a killer and a survivor and something, that's another 3 perks on each side. And I think I was listening, they average about 6 to 9 new perks a year or something, and they're not changing that many. So it's like you just you're falling behind of having so many perks that don't do anything, and all of these perks that are just on a whole other plane. And then they wonder, like, oh, why is everyone using these things? Why are they always using those? It's like, because you don't fix anything else. You don't change these enough. Because even with the reason, okay, like the DS nerf, you've nerfed DS 3 times now, but they've never nerfed it enough for it to not still be a good perk and still be usable. So it's never going to go away because you're afraid, it seems like, to make that that final change, that giant banhammer slap of getting rid of a perk. Like, they seem hesitant on wanting to do that. Or if they, at this point, it seems like if they even know how to do that, because you have so many perks that don't do anything, so it's how do you buff those? Because there's some of them that are so useless, even if you buff them by like 200-300%, and not percent in numbers on the perk itself, obviously, but like as like a whole, like if you were to increase that perk's power, it seems like so many of them are so useless that they still don't even come close to the meta perks because they don't change them. And that's
like what's one of the meta non-meta perks we've talked? Coloraphobia. What could you possibly do to make that good?
Like, yeah, over like stuff that they have.
Yeah.
All it does is like slightly mess with your healing in the terror radius.
Which is like, it doesn't do a lot because, like, really, how often are you healing? Like, how often are you healing and healing in his terror radius?
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many like weird restrictions.
Even like, what if you made it that you couldn't heal in his terror? Would people even use it then? Like, I don't know. Because, again, that same thing comes up. How often are you actually healing inside of a killer's terror radius as a survivor? And how often do killers care about messing with that?
Not many. Usually the way they want to mess with it is by interrupting you, by hitting you.
By killing you. Yes.
Yeah.
Hitting you with big weapon. Make you dead.
Like, if you're there, yeah, they're usually trying to find you. Their whole thing isn't, oh, I'll slightly mess up your healing from far away. Like, that's changing something. So it's just like...
And if someone, if someone, actually, is, that dead set on messing with someone's skill check, then they would just use a doctor and just use his or shock therapy. And there you go.
Yep. Exactly. Next one, we're going to go ahead and we'll just pass up on Knockout. Knockout wasn't that decent. All that's changed on this one is recovery speed is reduced by 20% for survivors under the perk. So basically when you're on the ground, you recover slower. Not much.
I can't even remember which killer had that perk.
It's Cannibal, I believe. I think it's Bubba. I want to say it's Bubba. I could be wrong, though. Next up, Lethal Pursuer. It used to be
perk
at the start of the match. They let you see everybody for 9 seconds at the beginning. And now, when anytime a survivor's aura is shown for a period of time, its duration is increased by 2 seconds. So all aura reading perks now last 2 seconds longer if you run it with Lethal Pursuer. So I think Barbecue and Chili, instead of getting 5 seconds of watching, you're now getting 7. And so on and so on.
I've seen that combination a lot recently on killers.
Yes, it's pretty popular. This one, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a good change. It's cool. It balances it a little bit more. It doesn't really do too much, so there's not really much to really go into or talk about in this one. The only big thing is aura readings. I mean, but if the killer already sees you, how far are you getting in 2 seconds that he can't find you is my thing. So
yeah.
2 additional seconds, whatever, doesn't matter much. We'll go ahead and move on.
I don't know. It's just a nice little extra thing for it to do for the Nemi boy.
Couple of these, I'm not even gonna really talk about. We'll just go over a couple so we can go ahead and move into the survivor side of things. So Monstrous Shine reworked. It's now a Scourge Hook. And the hook grants 20% faster entity progression if the killer is not within 24 meters. And now, if you use this, basement hooks count as Scourge Hooks. So, I mean, if you want to look into that one, that's fine. There's not really much to go into this one. This next one is the one I was bringing up earlier with the 400%. Overcharge had a separate thing. So now, this added thing is whenever overcharge is applied to a generator, its regression speed increases from 75% of normal to 200% of normal over the next 30 seconds. It used to, before they updated the numbers, it was 100% up to 400% in 30 seconds. This was the perk that, obviously, 400, way too much. They knew that. That's why that did not stay long and went down to 200. Because if you were getting overcharge of 400% on generators with the added 10 and whatever other regression perks you have, you're not getting a generator done. So, this one I don't like at all. I overcharge, I guess, needed something, and this isn't it for me. I think turning another thing into a massive regression perk and more slowdown, that thing that they keep talking about killers being forced to do, it's not forced to do anymore when you keep buffing stuff to make them want to do it. They're not forced. They want to. They get to. The absolute pleasure of getting to do it, because now with that, it's like 200% of the gen, so now they're getting just an extra even added bonus to this. This perk change, I hated. I don't like it at all. I wish we would, stop making the game slower and slower and slower as these updates come on.
I don't know the numbers super good, but can a generator that is, like, not completely done, can it even survive with any percent left with, like, this perk? Like if it's just left for the 30 seconds of ramping up, like, can it survive? Like, will it have any progress left?
It'll probably take a quarter, maybe half. I think at 200, like if you're saying you're hitting the 150% speed range, it's different because,
Because like 200% is a lot.
Yeah, and my thing my thing is, how long is it at 200%? Like, does it hit 200 the last, 5 seconds? Does it hit 200 earlier than that? Because,
well, I assume from 75 to 200 over the course of 30 seconds means that it caps at 200 at the 30th second.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, but they don't. It's behavior. They're never really clear on that kind of stuff, so it's like.
But then, does it stay at that 200% regression, or is it just done after it does the 30-second thing?
No, I think over the next 30, and then after the 30 seconds, this perk would no longer be active on that generator.
Okay, so then it just goes back.
Think.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll get like a massive drop in it for up to the 30, and then once the perk is no longer in effect, or obviously once a survivor touches it, the perk gets canceled. It's
a lot. But at the same time, it's not like a teachable, so I'm okay with individual people having like a thing that's good.
You could get this on everybody. You can play this on any killer.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
any killer can get that.
There's a unique doctor perk.
All of the perks that are unique to that killer are the teachable ones. Once you prestige them, that's what you get on everybody. That's the reward for prestiging, is you get their perks for everybody.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, once they play it, so
shows how much I play.
Yeah, so you could get overcharge on every killer. And that's my problem, is now they have just another massive regression perk to add to their arsenal of already several others. And then you pair that with stuff like one coming up soon, Phenantophobia, where you're just like, it's just like, what do I do? This isn't fun. And then there's always this debate going back and forth of the killer isn't responsible for the fun of the survivors. And I get that. That is true. When you're playing the game, you are not responsible for that other group of players. But at the same time, like, there's got to be that line where it's like, you know you're playing like someone that's like, you're all playing the game for fun. That's why we are here. I'm not playing DBD as a competitive player. DBD isn't meant to be a competitive based game. So it's like, yeah, you want to talk about, oh, well, I'm not responsible for your fun. Well, you're not, no. But then it's like, and then they make the excuses of like, oh, we'll just go start another match. And it's like, well, I just waited almost 15 minutes to get into this one, and you camped and tunneled me off first hook. I didn't even get to do anything. Or there's killers now lately where they toy with you, like the hit and run strategies where they'll literally just injure your whole team and make the game take as long as humanly possible.
Yeah. Basically, it comes down to, no, you're not responsible for my fun, but you are responsible for ruining my fun.
Yeah, like, you're not directly, you shouldn't make sure I'm happy in the game, but, like, you playing like that is a massive effect on everybody else in the lobby.
Pretty much.
Whether you like it or not. It's like, and then they always say the thing of, oh, well, and it comes down to the killer controls the flow of the match. Like, if you kind of are responsible for how everyone else enjoys and plays the game. If you're controlling the match and you're the puppet master or whatever, and that's what every streamer says, oh, the killer determines the flow of the match, whether it's slower or faster or this or that, and it's like, okay, so then you chose to be unfun. You chose to do this.
The thing that I think about that is that, like, yes, the killer should decide that, but I think that the killer, not the person playing killer, should decide that.
Yeah, I think the killer you play should make way more difference than it does. Because there's so many players who are like, I play every single killer. I use the exact same build on every single killer, and I play every single match the exact same way.
Well, and I think a large part of that is how well just running regression perks works, and I think that is something that they're slowly kind of and also redoing weirdly.
They're fixing one that people keep complaining about, but regression is their favorite thing to do. They pretend it's not by saying that they're forced to, but they're not. You make that decision. You just buffed another several regression perks.
Yeah, taking 10% off of pop doesn't undo adding 75 to 200% over 30 seconds.
It's just... Oh yeah, and then speaking of pop, which is the next perk, its regression was 25. It lowered to 20, but the note here is it's calculated after the new baseline regression when kicking a gen, so this perk really didn't change much. They just balanced it because they already are taking almost 3% off base when kicking the generator now without any of having a perk that does it. So really, this perk got nerfed by 2%.
2%. Amazing.
Essentially.
This was a good perk. This is still a good perk.
People are still going to run
much
pop.
More to say about it.
Yeah, pop won't change much. So this is another one where I don't know. It's just the next couple again. I don't know. I don't see them much. So I'll just say the change and we'll just move on. We got Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. It increased healing and repairing speed penalty to 16%. Was 9% max. So almost got a double % buff on it, which is pretty insane. Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance. It removed the scream effect on survivors, repairing the exploding gen, but the generator will spark to show that regression is happening. This one is awesome. I know this one was paired a lot with Dead Man Switch from, I believe it's Gunslinger. paired together, it just made that perk absolutely insane, because whenever a survivor would scream, the generator, that one, it would have blown up, which triggers Dead Man Switch, which makes it lose a bunch of regression instantly. So basically, the person just has to always use a Scourge Hook, which is not hard. The next one is probably the one we've talked about the most, because it's the one that I absolutely hate the most that got fixed in their quote-unquote non-meta perks, and that is Phenantophobia. Phenantophobia got a buff that I don't understand why. There was no need for it at all. The perk was already completely strong on the killers that ran it, so this one again is...
And it's not even a few killers that run it. It's many.
Yeah, it's a lot of killers. Yeah.
Clown liked it. Ghostface likes it. Legion loves it. I've seen it on Nurse loves it. There's a lot of killers that love running Phenantophobia as a part of their kit, and buffing this, I don't know why. No one asked for this. There was no one who thought this thing was weak. There was no one who thought this thing needed it. This was literally just one that Behavior threw in there as like a I don't know. Because, again, they had it under the non-meta category, which is insane. So we'll get into the percentages here. So the increased individual penalties for repairing, saboing, and totem cleansing is now going to 4.5, 5, and 5.5, which is up from 4, 4.5, and 5. So the middle, all of these pretty much got 0.5% increase, which makes it slower. It means as a survivor, everything you do is slow. Repairing a generator is going to be extra slow. Doing totems, healing, doing anything with Phenantophobia makes it just slow. Now, the maximum penalty, so when they injure 4 survivors, it's 22% of a hit. So you're going 22% slower while repairing a generator, and I think if my math was correct, and I remember someone was talking about this as well, is 22% on the 92nd gen. It comes out to about an additional 6, almost 10 seconds, I think, something around in there. So again, it's just like a massive slowdown to make their game take longer. And my thing with this always is this to make your game take longer so the queue times don't feel as bad? Or I don't understand the principle of wanting to make your games take even longer to play. Like, I don't want to be stuck in the same match longer, because like there's some killers I don't like going against, but I'm not going to disconnect and get the penalty and all that. So it's like, so I have to be forced to play them longer? I'm stuck playing this guy even longer? I don't know. I don't like this perk to begin with. I've never liked this perk. I think it getting a buff is absolutely asinine. And I know you guys are on the same boat, because we've all bitched about Phenantophobia a lot.
I definitely don't agree with just having a blanket penalty on doing things.
Especially doing things that I'm required to do. It is literally my entire function in that game is to do generators. And the fact that you're just having a giant penalty for me doing my thing... Why do I not have a perk that does that for you?
Slow down on you doing the game.
If you can slow down that much, why can't I get a perk that does that to you? Why can't I make it so you swing hella slow and your cooldown is massively longer? Like, why can't I affect with your gameplay?
Imagine if you could make a killer swing 22% slower.
Yeah, why can't I make you recover from stuns 22% lower? Like, why can't I affect your match like the way you can affect mine?
Mm-hmm.
If we're running off perks and all this extra, well, why can't I run stuff to try to help my benefits of winning? Killers seem to get theirs. This perk, I don't know. It's unbelievable that this one got touched. I don't get it at all.
Well, I mean, it's not unbelievable that it got touched, but it's unbelievable that it got touched in a positive way.
For them, yeah.
In like positive numbers, yeah. That was weird. I don't know.
Yeah, like I really have no idea why they even think that Phenantophobia is a non-meta perk. First off, but secondly, as he was saying earlier, like how come survivors can't get some perks that just slow down the killer as much as they can slow down a survivor. Like, I just really don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. This one I could go on forever on. We're gonna move on to the next one because this one gets me heated every time. Phenantophobia. I don't know behavior. I don't know. Next one is Tinkerer, which correct me. I know, Brian, you probably know this one. I correct me if I'm wrong here. I think it's when the generator reaches, I believe, 70%. Yeah, reaches 70%. You get a notification 70%. On the generator. This one got a nerf. It used to be it would proc every time, so if you had any regression or anything like that, you could re-see that. Now Tinkerer can only be triggered once on each generator, so you only get the value of Tinkerer one time per gen.
It also grants the undetectable status effect for 12, 14, 16.
They did that for Billy, so that way you can chainsaw across the map and then hopefully catch the guy still on the gen. Was the whole mind behind that one. This one I like. I've lost a lot of games to Tinkerer where you go back on a generator and he gets notified that you're on the generator again, and then he runs over, and then you're dealing with like a teammate who brings that killer over to you, and then the generator gets kicked, and then you just enter this loop of not being able to do anything. It's insane. There is a lot of survivor perks. We're not going to go into these ones as long because this one's going to take a lot longer. Killer perks, for the most part, didn't get touched as much as ours, in the sense that I'm going to go through a lot of the ones for us that got hit pretty hard to knock us out of meta here, just to go over them. So a couple, we have Dead Hard, Decisive Strike got hit again, Iron Will got hit again. What else did we lose of the meta here? I think that's it. Yep. Okay. So 3 of the main meta perks that survivors have ran have all been nerfed pretty. The biggest one is Dead Hard. This perk is pretty much like its name, dead. It's gone. It's not worth.
It is indeed dead hard.
Yeah.
This perk got destroyed to the ground because killers complained about Dead Hard to no end. Having this little dash to get away from a single hit was just so asinine that it should just apparently just not be used anymore, because that's what they decided to do with it. So basically what it used to do...
I think the biggest complaint about it was the Dead Hard for distance that a lot of survivors did.
Which even that, I don't see it. I don't get the complaint of that. So I use my ability to hopefully reach a window. If you would still catch me, most likely after that. You're not going to just be like, oh, he went for the window, I'm not going for him now. So basically, this
my opinion on this one is much the same as my opinion on Jolt. I just flat don't agree with removing things from an ability without even trying to retool them at all.
Yeah, they didn't fix this one. It was literally just now we don't get that dash, so that was just, they completely just changed how this perk works entirely. So now instead you do this weird arm lunge like you're going to dash, but the only way you get it is if the killer hits you. But they even nerfed it further because it originally said that you get the endurance effect for 1 second. And if the killer hits you, you activate it. It's basically supposed to be a, survive a hit thing. But they further nerfed it from the last time I saw it, because what I'm reading on here is the survivor endurance is now 0.5 seconds, which is nothing. So that means your timing for dead hard has to be flawless in order to get the thing. And most killers, if they think you have dead hard, they're just going to walk up to you, wait for you to eventually click the button, and then just wait until you don't have the status effect.
That's exactly what I've been seeing too. Is now that perk used to say do a dodge. Now that perk says the killer waits half a second before they hit you.
Yeah, the killer has a slight delay of standing. So this one, I don't know.
Or like some of the higher MMR killers will just bait it out by faking a basic attack to make someone use that hard, and then immediately down them afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Is there any big ones here? I'm not going to go through all of these because some of these are perks I don't know. I don't really care to go over, to be honest. So we'll just skip a couple. We'll do the ones that actually kind of matter. Next up, we have Iron Will. Nerfed again, back to what it was. This perk went from 100% grunts of pain being reduced, so if you got hit, you made no noise when you were crouched. And then it went down to 75, and then back up to 100. Now it's nerfed again back to 75, but now it's nerfed even more by this ADA. So this perk just doesn't work if you're exhausted. So if you use any exhaustibility, Iron Will just doesn't work for you. So you would never run this with any exhaustion perk. It's pointless. It just doesn't do what you would want. So it's just, I don't know. This is another perk where it seems like it's kind of, when do you use it? You know, when would you use this over almost any other builds? Like, at least now, I've been using Sprint Burst, which is an exhaustion perk, so Iron Will would now almost never be useful, you know, because by the time I'm not exhausted, I'm planning on using Sprint Burst again. I'm not worried about, now I can use Iron Will. Like, I don't know, this perk.
Yeah, now I can use my 25% worse Iron Will. Yay.
Yeah, it's just. And even then, it wouldn't work, because what would happen is you would get hit, right? So Iron Will could activate, but when you get hit, it would activate your sprint burst, because you would start sprinting, therefore giving you exhaustion, so Iron Will wouldn't work. So pretty much, Iron Will with an exhaustion perk is now never work.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Cool.
It will just never work, because every time you do anything, you're going to get exhausted, therefore Iron Will can't proc. And it doesn't work if you're not injured, so you have no time for this perk to even activate.
Yeah. I'm noticing a wording that I hate in the next one.
With Lightweight.
Lightweight, yeah.
Yeah, so Lightweight got an awesome buff. It is now actually in my staple build in DBD, one that I think Brian runs now.
Yeah, I do. It's just super good now.
It's just so much better. It increases the reduction of scratch mark duration to 3, 4, and 5 seconds, and it was 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So basically, your scratch marks go away 5 seconds faster. And they also added a new thing to it where your scratch marks are spaced inconsistently. So
that's what I hate. That's the wording I hate. What does inconsistently mean?
Basically it stop and goes. So like you'll have a little bit of scratch marks and then you'll stop laying them for a little bit and then they'll start again. So it's just like this weird kind of sporadic kind of pattern. It works a lot.
I mean, I get that, but like, why is it said that way? Why can't you like give me numbers on things? I know there are numbers connected to the things. It is game.
Well,
game is made of numbers.
Well, you couldn't give numbers for the scratch marks because the way the scratch marks worked before is just if there was a surface as you ran, they just got laid behind you. So now it's just like they don't lay behind you constantly. It's just like, oh, you'll leave some, and then, oh, now they're gone for some reason. Oh, but there's a little bit more. But now it's like it's a little better because now when they're fading 5 seconds faster, like unless the killer's like on your ass, half the time this is going to help you get away a lot because by the time the killer might see scratch marks, oh, they're gone. So you're like, oh, okay, he's been gone for a minute now because the things are gone. So this one's awesome. Lightweight used to be a niche perk.
Yeah, it's a good change. I just wish it was worded
different.
Or I don't know about worded better, but it like more informative. Like just saying that they're spaced inconsistently doesn't mean anything. They're already technically spaced inconsistently.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's a lot easier once you like see in the game what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's a change that is tangible in the game. Otherwise, they wouldn't say anything about it. But
so,
I don't know. It's just weird to
see. So we got Lucky Break. This one doesn't matter much. No One Left Behind got a change. Off the Record, Overzealous, Pharmacy, Saboteur, which just reveals Scourge Hooks to you. Not much. No one's still going to run this. The next kind of bigger one, Self-Care got nerfed again, back down to 35%, and it removes the medkit efficiency bonus. So you're not getting a bonus off of using the medkits anymore with Self-Care. This one, I wish they would just stop changing Self-Care.
I assume people are not happy about those Self-Care changes.
The only ones that were complaining about self-care was killers at high MMR because they said every time I hit a survivor, they get away and then like end up healing. And it's like, well, if they get away, it's because you lost them. So that's not like their problem.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. This is another perk.
And again, another one that I just have a problem with them straight up removing things from.
Yeah.
No attempts to retool the functionality or anything. No, just cross it out. That works.
Yeah. The next one, I'm very not happy about for the killer side or for the survivor side. I loved this perk. I used this one pretty much in all of my builds. It was awesome. It was literally another one that just got complained about a lot, and that's Spine Chill. Spine Chill used to work of whenever a killer would be looking into your direction, Spine Chill would proc, which is nice, but a lot of people really kind of used it more as a looping thing because it did give you a vault speed bonus, so you were able to vault over stuff faster so you can kind of get away from the killer. They flat out just removed that. The bonus is gone. You just don't get the vault bonus anymore at all. Now it also only works when the killer actually can see you and has a clear line of sight. So now you would only get it procced when you're actually about to get hunted. They increased your repairing speed when that is active by 6 seconds, but that doesn't really matter much. I don't know why they increased it, because how long are you going to be able to sit on that if the killer can actually see you with their eyes? That means they're coming for you, so being able to do something fast. By the time
their eye holes are pointed onto your body, it's too late for any of the things that this
especially on a lot of maps, like say the farm with the corn, because killers can't technically have line of sight on you through the corn. So basically, by the time they can, they're like 5 feet from you. So how much are you going to get done in the next 3 steps that killer needs to take to hit you? Not much.
But like something else that I'm like thinking about now for that perk is like would that perk activate say like against someone using Michael Myers, since like if someone's running Tombstone Myers, he can literally see through walls, so like he could just like see your outline like on the gen. So like, does that count as like him actually seeing you?
No, it wouldn't, because it's not a clear line of sight. He's going through a wall, so it wouldn't work. So Myers could 100% just like stalk you through the wall, because it's not technically a clear line of sight for them. Like it say like a ghost face when they lean around the corner and have eyes on you, then that one would work. But so stuff like that is another thing that they didn't think about. Like, so now stuff like that.
So if that's the case, then that also means that the Legion can like also know where you're at, since while he's in frenzy, he sees your heartbeat. So he's gonna know exactly where you're at, but you have no idea if he's like heading towards you, or if he's just chasing someone else at that moment.
Yeah. This one again, I don't know. I don't get it. So that is the last. The next couple don't really matter much. The last 2 is Tenacity and We're Gonna Live Forever. They did like a couple changes to it, but a lot of people didn't run it much, so there isn't really much to talk about too much on that. But on that end, that covers the whole 6.1 patch, minus the progression changes.
It covers the gameplay side.
That changes. Yeah, that isn't too much. If you wanted to look, go ahead and look that up for yourself. There's quite a bit to it, but nothing that really changes the gameplay that you're gonna actually do. It just affects more of the after game, so it's not really anything we need to talk about. I guess from here we'll go ahead and wrap things up with kind of like our final thoughts on overall what we think. I guess I'll go ahead and kick us off here. I don't know, this one's tough for me. There's some perks that got changed on survivors that I like, that I'm happy that finally got some stuff. But there's more things where it seems like our meta just got hit again, but killer's meta didn't change at all. Pretty much most of all of the perks that they run either weren't in this patch, or they now have new stuff to bring that makes it even stronger. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. It seems like the game, I guess they're trying to change the meta. So I'm like, maybe the next patch will be survivor sided and the killers get more hits and stuff. So like, I can't speak on that end, but like, it seems like the trend isn't that, based off of their wording. It seems like we're running into a spot where they're in their own words, the killers aren't killing enough according to them, which I don't understand. So This obviously, this entire patch is very killer-sided. That's been the general consensus from pretty much everyone that I've heard talk about it. This 100% is one-sided as one-sided can go. We obviously got every perk that we need nerfed for the most part. We've gotten some that got buffed that we'll still never see play because they're still just not good. Even with the buff, there still just isn't enough changing to warrant doing anything. And now the killers have more perks to kind of bring in that change and have built and made their meta stronger, in the sense that now they have more in their meta pocket than the survivors have in ours. We're just kind of weirdly in this like limbo. So I don't know. But obviously in the game, survivors are still getting out a kind of similarly amount, so it seems like maybe eventually we'll reach towards a little more of an area, but it's hard to look on things looked super good when one side is so heavily focused on an update like this, especially when they already have so much powerful stuff behind their belt that we are now just increasing further, because a lot of the nerfs they got didn't really change much. So I don't know. I think overall a lot of the changes are good, and I see where they're coming from adding them. There's a couple obviously I don't understand and I disagree with, like, you know, Phenantophobia getting something, and the flat no cooldown on Jolt. Our perks getting nerfed even harder, like another D-Strike nerf that we already got, like another, you know, Dead Hard just being completely unusable. I get nerfing it because it was really good, but you could have just, like, I don't know, you could have done something that made it not just completely trash. So I don't know. My overall thoughts on this, though, before you know, one of you guys take over, is I get it. I think it's good again, like I was talking about earlier, I think it's good in the long run, but I think short term you lose new players, because the meta, obviously at high end, those are the players that are like, oh, these changes aren't that bad, are the people that are really good at the game and play the game a lot and stuff like that. But a game that preaches being quote unquote friendly to new players, I think this is another one which further just sends a divide on Killer being stronger than I think it needs to be. But those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and pretty the new player thing you were talking about makes a lot of sense, because like a lot of people in like the higher end community who are like streamers and stuff, they talk about people using like crutch abilities, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe some of these are crutches, but when you're new, you kind of need some crutches every now and then to help you limp through.
Yeah, exactly. I've ran into that where, like, I'll have to
like obviously in higher level play, they are correct. Some of these things are not like fair things, but in like lower casual play, a lot of the times they're like necessary things for people to have fun. Be competitive in the game.
And have like a chance at winning, because like as a new player, if you feel like you don't even have a chance to win and you're coming in and you're just like so behind and you just you just come in and you say, you I suck, I don't know anything, I can't do anything, and I just go again, and
I'll just close the game
and
play something else,
especially because we're still running it.
Because as you were saying earlier, for someone new trying to hop into the game because it looks fun, if they regardless whether they start off as a survivor or a killer, like chances are they're gonna end up getting matched with just higher end people, and then just get completely bodied like immediately, and then they're gonna think, oh, okay, so I can't do anything in this game, so why am I gonna keep playing it?
Well, and it's not even just that they get bodied and like they don't know why or how, so they can only assume that it's because they suck at this game and they should just go play something else.
And it's hard too, because like,
and they're not right about that. And it's important to say they are not correct about that.
Exactly, and it's hard too, because it's like it's an MMR system, so like even if you're new, you can be going against people that have thousands of hours that are just down in the lower MMR. You have people that can sit down there with max.
I've seen so many titles on YouTube. Oh, I dropped down to rank 20 for the day, and fuck you.
And it's like, but
like that. Like that's just
you're literally just smurfing for content. Wow.
And it's like, how hard that is on new players, because like, okay, for instance, I had that exact thing happen. It was literally my second game of Killer ever, and it was my first time playing as who was I playing? I was playing Hillbilly. It was my first time as Billy. I was not good, like trying to do the chainsaws and stuff like I was trying. So I ended up getting only 2 kills. and I basically, I guess, according to them, I slugged for him and like tunneled for the guy for the thing, but it's like I don't even know what that means. Like as a new player, as someone who like, it's like why I'm getting yelled at, but and these people are saying I'm doing stuff, but like is that bad? I didn't see in the tutorial or any like thing ever like that doing what I did was like wrong. But then they get thrown in, and DBD has this weird just.
There's so many weird unwritten
this
rules.
weird handbook that we seem to think that we have, like, oh, the killer can't tunnel, the killer can't camp. Yeah, he can if he needs to win. If he's behind,
and you can complain about it, but
if he needs to do
no
it,
rule.
Yeah, if he needs to, like, say, like you've done 3 generators, you have 2 left, and he's had 1 hook. If he needs to slug or tunnel and camp 2 hooks to secure some kills to try to swing the match in his favor, 100%. You need to do what you need to do to win. Like that's but it's like
and I think there's also like this like weird misattribution of people's intentions in that situation, because people are like, oh, this killer's purposefully trolling. They're trying to get some blood points out of this match that they've spent the last however long in.
Yeah,
that's it.
Like, I mean, some of the maps
they're not like
some of the matches can last for like a good 20 minutes sometimes.
They are not evil, twirling their mustache, plotting to ruin your day. They're just trying to get some blood points, man.
And you do, obviously, you do have players that do that. DBD has a toxic community. There is a lot of people.
Yeah.
There are killers that'll like slug you on purpose and nod at you and shake their head no and do all that and tunnel you just to be a dick. There are people like that. There are a lot of killers that are awful, but there's also. And then there's the survivors who pretend they're this like white knight group who are on they'll stun the killer and then spam teabag on the other side or click their flashlights at him just to be. It's like, you know what you're doing, but when the killer then reciprocates against that and I'm gonna slug you now and I'm gonna nod at you for clicking at me, then the survivors have the nerve to then bash him in the endgame chat for nodding and camping and stuff, but it's like you did all that.
They were doing the exact same thing first.
The end of game chat is something that I have like pretty much never understood. Like, why are you staying and talk? The game's over, bro. Just move on.
I don't even know why they haven't. I don't even know. Okay, they need to get rid of the chat for one reason. It's like when the game's done. If there's a chat at the end, why can't I have a chat in the middle of the match so I can talk to my random teammates on what's happening? So we can't talk in the game, but I can talk to them after the game. For what? I'm just going to click continue and go to the next. And you can't even talk with them because a lot of the player base of DBD is on console. So you're not even talking. You can't even talk to them because they don't even have a chat option. So
we don't.
So
like once the match is over, like all you can do is just either get props to your teammates, or report them or the killer, or just leave. That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's weird, but I don't know. It seems like again, it seems like an update that maybe in the future will seem good when they do other
I don't know.
stuff.
I don't think it's all bad. Obviously, survivors are still surviving. Killers are killing about the same. It's it's fine.
They
did things.
You got anything to add, Brian? You got anything or?
Honestly, no. I feel like we pretty much said everything that needs to be said about this patch in general and just the game as a whole.
Yeah, and I know there's another, I think, a patch that came out. I think we're on like 6.1.1 now, but I think it was like one of those mini ones that really didn't do much. It was just like probably like some random hot fixes for something that was broke. it might have been them re-enabling Clown because he's been disabled. So I didn't really go into the patch notes. So
I didn't even know about that one.
It is just all fixes, just some random fixes.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, they nerfed. I guess they had to disable Clown because of he was moving faster than intended. I don't know if that meant when he was in his gas or just base. They didn't say that. Just that he was moving faster than intended. So I'm assuming it means just all around he was too fast, I guess. So I don't know. But, that covers it from Dead by Daylight for the 6.1.0 mid-chapter from us, and that about covers everything I had to go about it. So,
yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I think it's time to end the episode.
There's got a couple that obviously we didn't talk about, but, it is what it is. We'll see what comes in the changes here. But I would like to thank again for Brian for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us here on the channel here, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you
from your
Thanks for having me.
Amazing gaming YouTube channel, which is called Do a Plug. Come on, plug your channel.
Yeah, go for it.
which is called Bryanles2011.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and I'll have a link for it also down in the description as well. So if you guys wanted to go check him out, for sure go over there and give him a sub and show some love for the stuff over there. He plays DBD, uploads DBD, he uploads some other stuff too. So whenever you guys want to, go sit over there. And, for those of you who have, found us maybe that because he subbed over here, if you're from his channel and you came and stopped by, welcome in, and we're glad you came by, and I hope you enjoyed our, rants and our thoughts behind some of the games that we enjoy and the games that we play. But, I think that'll do it from us, so we appreciate all y'all coming out. If you liked what you saw, please go ahead and hit that sub. Leave a comment down at the bottom if you, agree or disagree with any of the things we said or anything like that. But thanks again for Brian for coming on, and we'll catch you all later. Have a good night.
We'll see you next time.
So then, so long.